In this episode, we're doing questions and answers, leadership edition.
Hey, sure.
Hey guys, thanks for joining me in this week's video. We are talking about leadership. So last week I asked you, what are questions you have for today's video? And the common theme was leadership. We have parents, team captains, managers, coaches, teachers who want strategies on how to be a better leader. So we took 3 of your questions and we're gonna talk about them today. But before we move on, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you know when the next video comes out. And please share this video with those who you think could benefit from it. So, leadership. Now, before you fast forward, before you skip this video and you're thinking to yourself, I'm not a leader, I don't have a title, this video is actually for you too. You don't need a title to be a leader. You don't need to be a parent. You don't need to be a manager or the team captain on your jersey in order to be a leader. You can increase your impact in wherever you are. Whether you have a title or whether you don't have a title, it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter how long you've been on the team or been in the company, you can learn some strategies on how to be a better leader, because you can't lead others until you can lead yourself. And many of these answers that we're gonna be discussing today, these questions and answers, are ultimately gonna help you be a better leader for yourself and to lead yourself so that you can lead others. And the most important place to be the best leader possible is within the walls of your own home. And so hopefully there's some strategy in here that can help you with that. So question number 1, someone asks, I am a new manager and I want to motivate my team. What strategies do you have so I can motivate them better? This is a great question because we hear it all the time. A leader will always ask, many times, often will ask, how do I motivate my people? Now, while that's a good question, I would invite you to ask an even better question. How do I create an environment where my people motivate themselves? The great writer James Clear has one of my favorite principles on environment. He says, environment is the invisible hand that shapes behavior. So if you're a leader and you want to motivate your people, instead of thinking, how do I motivate them? You want to think, how can I create an environment where they motivate themselves? Now, what we want to do is pull from the research on something called the self-determination theory, which is essentially the theory on motivation. Now, what it states is that there are 3 things that as a leader, you need to provide for your people so that they can motivate themselves. Number 1 is they want a sense of perceived progression. As a leader, your job is to help them notice and see that they are getting better. If your people feel that they're getting better, feel that they're improving, and they can see it, they can sense it, they can notice it, then their motivation is going to go up. Now, sometimes it's going to take some digging. Sometimes they're going to put tremendous effort into getting better, but they're not going to see the results. So as a leader, it's very important that you point to their progress. It might be their effort. It might be the fact that they're showing up. As a leader, you have to be able to look and find ways people are progressing, even if they can't see it themselves, especially if they can't see it themselves. Number 2, people need a sense of control. They don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to feel that they're at the mercy of the decisions of the leader or the organization or the team. People feel more motivated when they are participants in their growth, when they're in the driver's seat. Let me give you a simple little example. As a parent, if you want your child to eat healthy, instead of asking them, do they want to eat vegetables or not? The answer is going to be no, of course not. But to provide autonomy, you can ask, do you want carrots or do you want broccoli? Now, you're going to eat vegetables, but which one do you want? And that simple question, carrots or broccoli, puts them in the driver's seat. It lets them know that, hey, I know you probably don't want to eat vegetables, but which one do you want to eat? And when they get to choose, they're more likely to eat one or the other. Once again, your people want a sense of autonomy. And last but not least is relatedness, or a relationship. If you as a leader can build an environment where they can relate with each other, where they can connect with you, where they can relate to their purpose and their why, connect them to other people. And so going back to the question, how do I motivate my people? Instead, ask yourself, how do I create an environment where they motivate themselves? And what are the 3 elements you need? Number 1, they need a sense of perceived progression. They need to feel that they're getting better. So your job as a leader to help them find those things. Number 2, give them a sense of control, autonomy, help them feel like they're in the driver's seat. And number 3, help them strengthen their relationship with other people. Okay, question number 2, someone asked, Justin, I'm a brand new leader. What can I do to start strong? Now, we can go many different directions with this question, and I think that's a wonderful, sincere question, and I want to share with you a couple of principles. Principle number 1 is my favorite axiom to leadership. Build relationships so strong that they can bear the weight of truth. A lot of times as a leader, we get so focused in the transactions and the processes and the outcomes that we neglect building strong relationships. And if you want to inspire people, if you want to help people be the best versions of themselves, they need to know that they can trust you, that you want the best for them. And so you want to build these relationships of truth. If you want to give difficult feedback, you need to build a relationship equity so that you can give that feedback. But in order to give difficult feedback, they have to know that they can trust you. They have to know that you have their best interest in mind. And so ask yourself, what can I do to build a strong relationship with this person? It's going to require some work. It's going to require some time. It's going to require you asking good questions. It's going to require you noticing their habits and their behavior and their attitude and their approach to different things. It's going to require you to respect their experience, respect their expertise, and respect their values and their beliefs, and know that sometimes it might not be the same as yours, and allowing them to feel safe to push back, to question, to ask. But that's going to require you as a leader to be more secure and to understand that it doesn't matter who's right, but what we want is what's right. You're not after showing that you're the smartest. You're after accuracy, and it may require you updating your information and updating your beliefs with people who you are leading. Now, the second thing as a leader who's starting is you want to establish a North Star. The Voyagers, way back in the days, as they were sailing across these vast oceans, would use the constellations in the sky as their guide. And there was one star in particular, Polaris, that would never lead them astray. Polaris is known for being that North Star. They know that no matter where they are, that is north. So my question to you as a new leader is, what's going to be your North Star? What is it going to be? Is it going to be effort? Is it going to be hard work? Is it going to be process oriented? What is going to be your main focus? And as we always talk about, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. If a leader is constantly erratic, constantly going here, going there, and has no process, has no focus, has no purpose, then the team is going to follow suit. And so as a leader, what is your purpose? What is your process? What are your pillars? What are your fundamentals? What are your values? Teach this. Be certain, and this will be your North Star for your team. It's going to be a lot easier to follow a leader who has a North Star. All right, question number 3. This leader asked, how do I show more empathy towards those I lead? I think this is a great question because it's easier said than done, and oftentimes it's hard to pinpoint and operationalize how do you show empathy. Now, what I want to share with you is how not to show empathy. And one of the best examples on how not to show empathy comes from a gentleman named Michael Soroka, when he says that there are 3 pitfalls to showing empathy. Pitfall number 1 is comparing your situation to their situation. So if somebody comes up to you and explains how difficult their adversity is, how big their problem is, to block empathy, you would compare your problems to them. You wouldn't say, well, at least you're not going through what I'm going through, or at least your situation isn't as bad as hers or as bad as his. You don't want to compare your problems to their problems or their problems to somebody else's problems to put things in perspective. I know it's coming from a good place, but if you do that, you block your capacity to show empathy. The second way is to tell somebody how to feel. You don't want to come in and tell them, hey, well, look at the bright side. Hey, well, at least this is happening. Now, again, it's probably coming from a great place, but in that moment of struggle, they don't want to be told how to feel. They don't want to be told to be positive. They don't want to be told to relax. They don't want to be told to keep things in perspective. Once again, build relationships so strong they can bear the weight of truth. They want to come to you and they want to share with you what they're going through, which leads to the last one. You don't want to fix their problems. People don't need tactics, prescriptions, strategies on how to feel less of a burden. A lot of times, they just want to take this weight off their shoulder and share it with you. Sometimes they just need to think out loud. And sometimes the things that they say out loud isn't truly what they feel. And what I mean by that is they're navigating through it. And then when they get it out loud, all they need is a non-judgmental voice to listen. And as they share it, they might think to themselves, oh, you know what, I don't believe that, but saying it out loud, I can see that is a lie. I can see that is a bias or a blind spot that I have that I'm saying for the first time verbally out loud. And it takes an empathetic leader to listen non-judgmentally, to not get offended by what this person says, to not try to fix it, to not try to tell them how to feel, and then not to try to compare their problems to others, but to listen, and to allow them to explain, allow them to find their own answers, allow them to vent without feeling judged, and to say, you know what, that is difficult, that is hard. What do you need from me? How can we help? Or what else? What are some ways that we can help minimize this? Not eliminate this, but minimize this. And as you do these things and allow them to feel sad, to feel mad, to feel angry, and to normalize it, and let them know that, hey, that's part of life and that's completely fine to feel the way you feel, and I'm here to help in any possible way, that is showing empathy. That's what resilience looks like, and helping them know that resilience sometimes is crawling and scratching to the finish line or climbing up the mountain. They don't have to look like a superhero. They don't have to show that they're almighty and all powerful. And another thing to keep in mind as a leader, imagine balancing, let me grab a pen right here, so just a pen I pulled out of nowhere. Imagine a pen balancing on the table. And you may look at it and think, wow, that looks cool. It looks balanced. It looks like it has established equilibrium. What we need to keep in mind is just because it looks balanced, we need to also understand that that pen that looks balanced can fall easily and topple over at the slightest nudge of adversity. So you might look at someone and think, wow, they have it all put together. They're balanced. They are stable. But like that pen that's on the tip, it's barely, or he or she is barely holding on and keeping those things in mind, and that they could topple over at the slightest disturbance. And so hopefully you enjoyed this episode. We talked about some principles on leadership, how to motivate people, how to show empathy, your North Star. We talked about building relationships of trust. And so my question for you today is this: who is the best leader you have ever seen? The best leader you have personally ever met? And what makes them such a great leader? Tag them or write about them in the comments below. I want to learn about these people. Have a great day. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and we'll do it again next week.